All right, so I want to hear what you guys think about this. So to me, the entire second season of Invincible was you know, and in my opinion, I don't think that this finale really helped in that regard. So yeah, interested to see what you guys think of this. We're just going to talk about a few things from the finale. We're not going to go down, you know, shot by shot with the finale. We'll just talk about a few things. So yeah, let's get into it. So, based on how black characters are positioned within this show, I already knew that Angstrom was gonna get killed real good in this episode. Like, I was just like, girl, they finna kill him gruesomely. And everyone dies gruesomely in this show, but like I said, I've already talked about how black characters in the show give me just weird vibes. It definitely gives me White Riders, right? Like, so that's just it. So I was expecting Angstrom's death. Now, I thought that he was gonna at least have the entire episode. I thought that the entire episode was at least gonna be, you know, dedicated to him, because he got these powers. I don't know, like, he got these cool ass powers. He had a potentially, like, the story would have been really cool, but he's been missing this entire second season. So it's just like, okay, he popped back up, like, okay, you know. So yeah, I thought that at the very least, we would get an entire episode of Angstrom, right? But 20 minutes into the episode, the villain's already dead. Like, y'all introduced him in the beginning of the season, and we haven't really seen him at all until now. And it's the finale, and he's a nigga too. I was like, yeah, this nigga's done. Like, he's gone this episode. Now, how Angstrom was fighting Invincible to me was so stupid, right? Like, you could have sent him to one crazy dimension and been done with it just like that. Been done with the fight just like that. Left his ass there, and that would have been the end of it, right? But instead, you're bringing him back to the main dimension, then punching him into a new one, then bringing him back, then punching him. I was just like, girl, this shit is fucking corny. If I had those dimension, you know what I mean, hopping ass powers, you bitches would be very, very afraid. You bitches should be very, very afraid. Ain't no way I'm knocking your ass to another dimension and it's not lava or some shit. I'm trying to defeat you. You know, I know it's invincible, but shit, it could be into a fucking star. I don't know. A black hole. I don't know, girl. It's just, it was so much potential for this villain, and it definitely was just not realized. Like I said, I'm not a comic person, so I don't know what happened in a comic. And even if this does happen in a comic, to me, it's still corny. So I don't know what y'all want me to say. Just because you transferred it to the fucking screen doesn't mean that I'm supposed to automatically get my life. Whatever. So, like I said, Angstrom didn't feel like a real villain at all, just a placeholder character that was only set up to be Mark's punching bag in the end. And like I said, with the way that other black characters are positioned in this show, it rubbed me the wrong way as a black viewer, like whatever. And if the show's not for me, then it's not for me. That's okay. But I think it has taken up until the end of this season for me to really consider that as an option. Like, okay, well, maybe I should just stop watching the show, because if every time I'm gonna be up here talking about it, I'm gonna be dragging it, it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? So yeah, I was watching, just waiting for the moment when Angstrom would die brutally. I thought, like I said, it would happen way later in the episode than it did. And so Mark finally let loose, right? And I'm like, damn, the villain that you have not seen for the whole entire season, you have not seen this villain for the whole season, finally made you angry enough to punch with some force behind it. But the people that have been consistently knocking your wig off all season couldn't make that happen. And it's just like, okay, girl, I guess. And then his mental breakdown afterwards, like, it's just like, to me, it didn't make enough sense to the point where I'm like, at a point where I'm feeling sorry for Mark's ass. Like, it just did not. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. Like, I really wish I cared about Mark ass. Like, I don't know. I think Mark is just such a dumbass that it'd just be hard for me to feel any kind of, like, empathy for his silly ass. Like, I don't know. And of course, the Deus Ex Machina comes in and saves his goddamn ass. Just helping him fail upward as usual, like as Mark does in this show. Now, Samantha, real quick, I'm gonna do a side note on your ass. Samantha, pathetic ass, needs to stand up, talking about I love you. Like, girl, you risked the stability of space and time to tell him to go back 20 years so he could say to the old you that he, you know, that he either loves you or not, and that he needs to do it so that you can go on with your life. Like, girl, 20 fucking years. And like I said, on top of that, you're risking the stability of space and time. All, you know what I mean? The structure of it. Like, to me, this shit definitely gives me that it has been written by straight white man vibes, like, and it's just like, oh, I just need this fucking female character is like, oh, I just need you to say something, even if you reject me, begging on her fucking hands and knees 20 years later, even if you just reject me, say something so I can go on with my life. I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna throw up in my mouth. Okay, let's skip to the end. Let's just skip to the end. Because this is one of my biggest problems with the show, with the finale, or what they're implying, right? So to me, what the end of the finale was implying to me, was signaling, was that, okay, well, we're going to start a redemption arc for Nolan. And I'm going to say this right now. I think that if y'all are starting this redemption arc here, I don't care if they did it in the comics at the same time. I'm speaking about the story in general. So, you know what I mean? Comics or TV show, whatever, right? Comics or TV show. If y'all are starting Nolan's redemption arc here, to me, completely undeserved. When I say completely undeserved, I mean completely undeserved. It doesn't even feel believable that he's like, oh, now he's at this point. You know, just because he tried to save the Thraxans, honestly, he tried to save his own ass from the Viltrumites. Like, let's be real. Doesn't mean that he is suddenly absolved and that now is the time for, like, us to think that he somehow has reached this point of like, oh, I want to be redeemed. It just doesn't give me that. I think it's undeserved 100%. You know, just because he got beat up by some Viltrumites doesn't mean that he suddenly would, in my opinion, would suddenly see the error of his ways and suddenly mean that he's absolved. Nolan, you've destroyed a whole planets. Like, you ain't no telling what you was doing in the centuries before you came to Earth. You murdered the Guardians. I mean, at the beginning of the show, you plowed your son through the guts and brains and gore of a train full of people. Like, you lived for centuries. Nolan is a type of being, like, it would make sense that, you know, someone as strong as him, as powerful as him, living for all these centuries, would think that they are a god among ants. So to me, Nolan's behavior in the beginning of the show made a whole lot of sense because, like, he's walking around like a god among insects, among bugs, right? And so, to me, it's going to take much more time, in my head, right? It's going to take much more time than 2 seasons to appeal to this god in the first place, to even appeal to the feelings of this god. You know, it's going to take more than 2 seasons to appeal to this god, more than 2 seasons to then subsequently humble this god, and then on top of that, make him feel sorry for his actions against the ants that he was stepping on for centuries. To me, you don't just turn a wig around like that in 2 seasons. To me, you don't just turn a being like this around in a couple seasons just because he got smacked around a little bit by the Viltrumites. You know what I mean? That all of a sudden now he sees the error in his ways. Outside of the fact that he's just biologically so much stronger than human beings. Not only that, right, but it was also culturally enforced by the Viltrumites. So it's like, that's like centuries of brainwashing. Centuries of brainwashing on top of, like I said, you just being inherently stronger. It would be like trying to get humans to feel bad for swatting a fly, right? Or stepping on an ant. Show me how difficult it would be to humble this god, to really make this god feel like, oh, I really fucked up. And to me, 2 seasons of this shit did not do that for me, to where it's like believable for Nolan to be saying, oh, well, you know, I see the error of my ways. I feel so bad that I'm hurting these beings. It has not given me that yet. Like, this show did not show me Nolan getting broken down the way I think he needs to get broken down before he would even think about this shit, right? I think the overall theme of that, the message of that, the fact that we see this so often in media, I think it leans, or in American media, I think it leans into some of the attitudes that we see in real life, right? About heinous, racist, genocidal people / politicians, right? Today. Because in real life, it's almost like, okay, well, if this evil bitch, if they get a couple lashings, and they just say they're sorry a few times, then we should go ahead and start their redemption arcs. It's okay. We shouldn't be mean to them anymore. We shouldn't be mean to these politicians. We shouldn't be mean to these people, these racist ass motherfucking people, these people who walk into places and just murder people. Like, we should look at both sides and we should accept their apology and just be open and have an open heart. But I'm just like, that's why I hate that shit in real life, and I hate it in, like, comic books, whatever, media, whatever, TV shows, whatever. And just of the basic nature of storytelling, like, let us see this monster be dragged. Let us see his environment, his own choices, fuck him up so bad. But I don't think it was fucked up bad enough. Like I said, it did not weigh heavy enough for me to think that Nolan would have been so crushed by it that he would change his mind, right? I don't think the season showed us enough, like, for it to be convincing that we're supposed to be starting Nolan's redemption arc right now. Just because Nolan says he feels shame and regret, and just because he may feel it, doesn't mean that he could truly ever feel the repercussions of or make atonement for all the thousands and thousands of lives that he has taken and the generations that he has fucked up. Like, I don't think he's even come close to fully acknowledging it, fully feeling it, much less making atonement for it, for us to be, you know, over here jumping for joy about a potential redemption arc. It's just not given me. It's not given. It's not given. I don't think Nolan's pain or realizations or consequences have been deep enough this season to warrant us getting close to a redemption arc. And like I said before, I think it really ties into how some of these monsters be walking around in real life and do heinous shit, and just because they cry one day, just because somebody slapped their ass good one day, they want us, they try to convince us that they're like, they feel so sorry, they're here for redemption, da, 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 da. And they get in real life, they get in the same position that they were in before and abuse your ass again. So unless that's the point that Invincible is making, you know what I mean? And I have yet to see it, that Nolan's just gonna do the same shit that he talking about redemption. He ain't gonna do none of that shit. Like, he gonna, you know what I mean? It's not hitting for me. It's not hitting for me. And I don't think that's the point that they're making, because I remember one of the showrunners or somebody involved with the show talking about, like, the potential for a redemption for Nolan. So I think that might be the area that the pathway that they're taking with this character. And like I said, I don't think that Nolan has earned this shit. I don't think Nolan has earned us even talking about the potential for him to have a redemption arc. Like, I think a couple more seasons of him getting dragged, like him really, it would have to show him completely changing his sense of self, the way that he views himself, the way that he walks around in the world, the way that he walks through the world, that navigates the world. He would have to check his ego in a way that seems more coherent, more intense than what we were shown in the finale. Like, he would really have to completely change his sense of self for us, and to me that would take a long ass time, especially you talk about centuries of doing the same shit, like villainous, crazy, violent shit reinforced by the culture of the planet that you came from. You know, it's just it way more work, I think, would have to be done when we're talking about Nolan for me to be convinced that he wants to be redeemed, or he even cares about redemption right now. So let me know what you all think of this. Do you think I'm reaching? Do you think it's too much? Do you think, because, you know, I'm gonna run my mouth regardless, but at least let me know. Let me know what you think. Thank y'all so much for watching the video, checking me out. Love y'all so much, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace. Make sure that you're going to www.zaraxia.com. When you join the wait list there on the site, you will be the first to be notified when I drop my sequel. Also, you'll immediately get chapter 1 of my upcoming sequel of the upcoming book sent to your email as a PDF. So check that out. Also, this is a different excerpt from my upcoming book, so you definitely want to pause to read if you're trying to get your life. Keep in mind that this upcoming book, the sequel, is following up the first book that is already released, called Zaraxia, Wrath of the God King. I released it a few years ago. It was my introduction to writing fantasy and stuff, so just go easy on me. But either way, as you can see here, it's given 4.9 stars. It's given 4.9 stars. So yeah, check out Zaraxia, Wrath of the God King while you wait for Zaraxia, The Vengeance of Coldwind, right? And go to Zaraxia.com, sign up, join the wait list, get your free chapter. Thank you so much.